Hey guys, this is Kristin from KristinCoaching.com. We're going to be discussing today what happens when your partner is not ready for marriage. That can be really, really hard, especially when you're ready to get married, but your other half is just not there yet. And I see time and time again so many couples being in this situation. It's hard. It's not hard, but it does happen when, there's these huge life transitions, whether it's getting married or wanting to start a family or wanting to kind of, change careers or pick a career. You're an individual and you do your own thing, and so does your partner. So it's hard when you have these big transitions to be able to want to do this together at the exact same time. It does happen, and if you are in unity on your other half about making these big life decisions, fabulous. But I also want to validate for you that if you're not and you're at a different point than your partner is, that's okay. It happens. It can be really hard to be in this type of a situation, however, which is why I wanted to make this video for you today. Because I think that if you are ready to get married and your partner isn't, there's really some important questions that you have to ask yourself on that, because this is a really big step and this is a big moment for you and for the relationship if you were to get married. And it's a big moment for you to want to get married and not be married, and having to wait for whatever reason. So, let's talk about some things that you can ask yourself to really determine whether or not you should wait for your partner to be ready or not, and what does that look like if you don't wait, right? So basically, the first question I would ask myself if my partner didn't want to get married, I'd want to know, what is his reason or her reason? What's the reason for not wanting to get married? Do I feel that is a good reason? Is it something that seems valid and seems understandable? So many people have various reasons for not wanting to do it. So you really want to analyze, what is their reason? Is that something that you can understand and validate? Also, if their reason, however, is they just never want to get married, it's something that they don't want to do ever. That's a completely different story. That's a really kind of I'm going to say it. It's almost a deal breaker. If somebody is 100% dead set on not getting married, but that is something that you really, really want to do, that's a huge, rift in terms of being able to come to an agreement on that. It's kind of a black and white issue. But if you're with somebody who wants to get married in the future, but isn't ready now, that's different. So what's their reason for not wanting to do it? I would also ask myself, how long have you waited to get married? How long have you been in this kind of limbo state waiting? Do you feel that you've waited long enough? And also, let's say that you continue to wait for yourself. Are you going to be okay if you continue to wait more and more and more, and eventually, your other half still isn't ready? Especially with women, right? We're kind of on a timeline. We have a timeline to want to get married. We have a timeline to want to start a family, if that's something that we are interested in. So I can see a lot of pressure, on the relationship and on women to want to have this marriage kind of, solidified and down packed. So you have to ask yourself that if you're going to continue to wait for however long, are you going to be okay? Are you going to be okay with yourself and your decision if for some reason it doesn't work out? If for some reason he or she doesn't want to get married to you? That's a hard question, but it's something to really reflect and analyze. And then you really do have to ask yourself, okay, how much longer am I willing to wait? Because again, this is one of those deal breakers here, that if your other half doesn't want to do it and isn't ready, but you want to give him or her more time, that's great. How much time are you willing to give? Willing to give another 6 months, a year, or are you willing to give indefinitely? And it doesn't matter to you however long it takes, as long as it happens in the future. I wanted to just pose these questions and these ideas because it's really important for you to analyze your situation. It's such a hard place to be in when you're in this type of a dilemma, but only you can answer these questions for yourself. Do I feel like it's a good enough excuse of why my partner isn't ready? How long am I willing to wait? Do I feel like I've waited long enough? Am I going to be okay if for some reason it doesn't work out if I do wait longer? So those are really important. And I think an ongoing communication with you and your other half is really critical when you are going down this path and figuring out what to do. You want to keep the lines of communication open with your partner. You want to make sure that you guys are telling each other everything, being authentic and honest and open about these feelings, and just work through them together. But if you guys shut down the lines of communication and you're not discussing this situation, it can build up a lot of the times and create more resentment and can create hostility within the relationship, and that's not going to be healthy. So if you guys are on kind of a different timeline, make sure you're communicating throughout all the time, and make sure that you guys are, again, on that right page, because you don't want to, your partner doesn't want to be stringing you along. You don't want to be stringing along your partner for whatever reason. You want to make sure that you guys are doing okay and that you can make it through the fact that you guys aren't on the same timeline, but hopefully you'll be able to meet and agree upon, this goal of getting married. And if you're not going to agree on something that makes you happy and makes your partner happy, well, that can be a really hard situation and something that you guys need to discuss in a lot more detail and figure out what's right for you guys, and right for you guys as individuals and right for you guys within your relationship. So please feel free to ask me any questions. It's a really difficult discussion, but it definitely poses a lot of self-reflection and kind of figuring out, what you want in life and when do you want it. So I encourage you to do that for yourself and ask yourself some really hard questions. But you can also ask me questions. I'm happy to answer those for you as always. And if you want to give me a comment, please feel free to do that below as well, and I'll get back to you when I can. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining. Bye.